Welcome to VE-Cast, a Vendux podcast titled The Next Stage CEO. Today, I'm joined by Deb Dietz, founder and CEO of SMB Value Partners based in Orlando, Florida. SMB is an EdTech and digital media company, online courses and master classes across business, health, wellness, and life skills. Paired with Foodie TV, a free ad-supported streaming platform that shares course videos with a global audience. Starting as a management consulting firm in 2015, Debbie pivoted to online education during COVID and was an early adopter of agentic AI to build courses faster and cheaper. Deb, welcome to the VE-Cast.
Henning, thank you so much for having me today. I'm delighted to be here.
Wonderful. You began in 2015 as a management consulting firm. Describe to me what that involved.
So, it's interesting. My background, actually, I come from corporate America. So I kind of grew up, if you will, working in business for some top Fortune corporations. And so I spent most of my early career in working for these corporations in many diverse industries: healthcare, financial services, manufacturing, industrial distribution. And then I held roles that were in different functional areas. So marketing, sales, operations, IT, business planning. And in 2015, I had made the decision to leave the corporate world. My father actually was a management consultant. He had his own firm. And he really, for the longest time, wanted me to join him. He was really actually very influential in helping me kind of navigate through my corporate career. So he, very early on when I got out of graduate school and went into, and I was interested in marketing, and I did that for a couple of years. And then every 2 or 3 years, he would say to me, "Well, what's next?" And I would say, "What do you mean, what's next? I love what I'm doing. I love the company that I work for." And then he would say something like, "Well, you're in marketing now. I think you should try, direct sales." And so for years and years, because he was a management consultant, so he had this breadth and depth of experience. And he was actually, I think, trying to mold me into, and thinking that at some point this would be a good career path for me.
Yeah.
So I did follow his instructions and proved to be very meaningful to me, so that when I ultimately started my own company, actually I started it a year after he passed away in 2015. And, I remember the year that, after he died, I remember being at the cemetery with my mother, and we were, saying our providing blessings and kind of talking about my dad. And at the time, I had left corporate America, but I hadn't started my company yet, and I just wasn't ready because he was no longer with me. He was my touchstone, if you will. And my mother looked at me at the cemetery and she said, "What are you doing? You know what he wanted for you." And the next day I incorporated my company. So that was in March of 2015. And so I did that. I did, grew my management consulting firm, and everything kind of changed when COVID happened. And I found myself needing to retool the company and the business model.
Yeah. Talk me through that journey, because I assume, COVID hits, shutdown comes around, and your entire business disappears, right? There is no more in-person consulting.
Nobody could get on a plane. I couldn't get on a plane. Zoom was kind of a new thing and people weren't comfortable with it. And, so I sat there and thought, as I saw my revenue, my primary, line of revenue really start to deteriorate, I thought, okay, there's got to be a better way. I have to find a way to, kind of reinvent myself. And so I thought about what I did, as a consultant, and my area of expertise, again, relying back on all my corporate experience, was in the areas of marketing, strategic planning, business planning. And so I started there. I thought, okay, I have all the materials for strategic planning. So I thought, okay, let me find a way to take all my materials that I have. I had a lot of digital, content for planning, a lot of paper documents, certainly.
Mhm.
And I taught myself how to build my own online course. So the first course I actually ever built was my own. And so in strategic planning, so I started there. But what happened from that was that I started having other people come to me and sit, because they were in a similar circumstance.
Yeah.
They were coaches, consultants, they were speakers, they were authors, and they were experts in what they were an expert in. And same thing, they were looking for a way to replicate their lost income. And so they started asking me, can you do this for me? Yes, I can. So that became kind of the launch of the new business model. And then, and it was primarily in business management. So things like, strategy, leadership, marketing, operations, IT, ERP, all kinds of things.
Mhm.
And then I had a couple women come to me who had written a book about maternal and infant care, and it was a best-selling book on Amazon. And they came to me and they said, "Can you take our book and create a digital course for us?" Yes, I can. So I started, so I built that course, which turned out to be, it's actually to this day one of our showcase courses. It's a very large course. It's 10 modules, 47 lessons, everything you need to know about pregnancy and parenting from the minute your pregnancy exam turns positive to sleep training your toddler and everything in between. So it was just a showcase of a course. And
Mhm.
then others came. And so I just continued. So right now, the courses that we have on the platform are what we call the circle of life education. So we've got courses from the beginning of life, birth and when babies are being born, all the way through major life stages of people, both personally and professionally. So the circle of life really is from pregnancy and parenting. We've developed courses for children in the areas of reading and math literacy, because we have kids who are not performing at grade level. There's a real issue, and parents need access to resources. We have teenagers that are living their lives with their face in their phones and their digital devices, and they need to learn life skills, things like financial literacy and emotional intelligence and decision making. And then there are all the business professionals out there, those who are career professionals who are working at a company and maybe they need to upskill or they want to be considered for a promotion. They want to build their skills. Those that are looking to become an entrepreneur, maybe start a business, they need access to resources. And then there are those, the aging of our population. And with aging comes caregiving, and there are 65 million people out there that are unpaid caregivers. And then there's illness and dementia and Alzheimer's. 55 million people in the world have Alzheimer's, and people need, access to skills so that they can be an effective caregiver and understand the illness of their loved one. And then there's the ultimate end of the circle of life, which is death and dying with dignity. So we started building, curriculum in all these areas, working with really smart people who are experts in these topics. And so the circle of life is something that's very meaningful to me because of the impact it has on people anywhere and everywhere.
Yeah. Now, you described the creation of all the coursework and how it expanded from just being one professional course that you did to all the other courses. The way I understand this business model, it's one thing to create the course, but it's another challenge to actually get people to watch it and pay for it.
Right.
How did you, very early on, as you were small and had a few courses, how did you go about monetizing those?
Absolutely. It's interesting because part of my toolkit is that of a strategic marketer and social media marketer. So I had the asset. I had created the asset, and I had, a lot of experience in digital marketing. I had a lot of experience in email marketing and online advertising. So I utilized those skills, and I started building my email list, which is kind of interesting. Even to this day, we do a lot of email campaigns, and my list is something that I have built and nurtured over these 11 years. So I have a very, very high open rate, click through rate. My audience is been with me for a long time. So every time I introduce a new course, their people are looking at the courses. I'm providing incentives for them to engage with the courses. And then we had kind of this epiphany about, people have to buy the course, so that's a revenue generating opportunity for the expert, the course creator or author, if you will. But then we thought there's an opportunity here to provide access and democratize the information to other audiences leveraging streaming television. So we started with our online course catalog, which sits on our learning management system. And so there's a paywall that people have to come over and purchase that course. But it provides a really interesting opportunity for that expert. So before, their revenue stream was maybe coaching or consulting or one-on-one or speaking engagements. Now all of a sudden we've created an asset for them, which is a passive income stream of revenue. And so while that revenue is being generated through the online course sales, we then created another way for them to monetize that asset by putting the videos for the courses on free streaming television for free. And so we did that because the key assumption there was that if people can watch the videos of the courses for free on any connected device, on online, on the internet, certainly also on television, that experience will bring them to buy the online course. So the streaming television, the free access, they're able to watch a video, but they can't download it. They can't get any other supporting information about those lessons that are inside the course. People have to buy the course to get the audio files, the slides, the narratives, because people have different learning styles. There are people that want to watch a video to consume that lesson, but they might want to read that narrative, that transcript, read the lesson. They may want to look at the slides. So we provide all the different formats in the online course, plus all the additional materials, the workbooks, the spreadsheets, the templates, because the course itself it's a different level of education. It's step-by-step training, if you will. So we're teaching people in the course platform how to implement that topic, what they've heard that speaker speak on by watching the video, but it draws them into the online course. And then once those students have purchased the online course, if they want additional support from that instructor, that expert, they can reach out inside that course community to that instructor for one-on-one coaching. So by creating one course for them, we actually created 3 ways for them to monetize their content. And what we found is that, even myself included, I don't have to travel as much. I don't have to, now that I can get back on a plane and travel, I still do that when it comes to, strategic planning, when I'm going to facilitate a meeting, for example, at the board level, and I'll get on a plane and go. But in the meantime, my course is earning revenue. And so that is a great way, and people can productize their expertise initially, but then monetize through our distribution channels.
Yeah. How big is the team behind the business that runs all of this?
So we have a very lean team because, we have experts that are technical experts in our software for our learning management system. So we've got people that are experts. It's a handful of people that are on our team. And so, now because we're growing and we're raising capital, the plan there is certainly to expand that team. That is part of certainly our launch after our capital round is completed. But right now it's very lean and mean, but we've got just a handful of really smart people who are experts in those pieces of software that allows us to expedite the development of the courses. We have people that are working for us that are doing the social media marketing, the email campaigns. So as we continue to grow, working with other experts, building additional courses, adding to our course catalog, that's creating demand for our services. And so we add people very carefully because we've been very lean. But that's one of the reasons why our potential investors are interested, is because it's a very profitable margin. It provides profitability for us.
Yeah, you mentioned the investment round that you're raising.
Yeah.
What made you change the moving from bootstrap to an investor? What are you hoping to accomplish from a growth perspective through taking on an investor?
Great question. It's interesting. It's something that in the back of my mind, I had thought about, didn't really take any action to do this, but was actually approached by an investment bank on Wall Street. They actually reached out to me, and they were the ones who told me, you are at an inflection point in education technology, digital media, and leveraging AI. Because what we found in the production of the development of our courses is that by using AI, it allowed us to streamline the development process, shorten the cycle time, reduce the number of able-bodied human beings who are working on the course development by leveraging the technology.
Mhm.
So the profitability of our company became greater than it was. And so they were the ones that came to me and said, have you thought about raising capital? I think at some point we all do, at some point in our path. But they provided an opportunity. They came to me with a valuation of the company based upon that opportunity.
Mhm.
So they came forward with a number. It was an impressive number. And I, again, was when I started taking it really seriously. And then they said, because you're at this inflection point, we want to engage. They gave me, they approached me with documents. And in the meantime, then I had actually a private equity firm reach out to me, same thing. So all of a sudden it became a possibility of, okay, they see the potential. And then I really started diving into the numbers and looking at, okay, if I had this kind of influx of capital, what would this look like? What would, if I'm looking 5 years out, typical, I'm a strategic planner. So I'm thinking in terms of, 5-year
Yeah.
plans, right? I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to do the math myself and see what this looks like. So I started running some numbers and looking at the possibilities. But to me, the driving force was to say yes to the raising of the round, was the kind of impact that we could have by making this education accessible to anyone, anywhere, leveraging technology. So we developed our free streaming television app. And this is before, because the revenue, we're still going through the due diligence process. But what's been happening is that we've been leveraging streaming television and building our app, Foodie TV, which is currently available online and on Roku TV. And when we launched the app on Roku, and I looked at the analytics of who was watching what videos were people watching, I have goosebumps when I'm going to say this. And every time I say this, I get goosebumps, because the number one most watched video was pregnancy, the first trimester. And the people who are watching that video were women in sub-Saharan Africa. And I thought, okay, I'm on to something here. And then the second most watched video on Foodie TV was, what is hospice? So there I had the circle of life. The number one video is birth, and the number two video most watched is in our death and dying series. So to me, that said, okay, there's an opportunity here to make a difference, to have a real impact on providing access to information and education to those people all over the world who need that information. Maybe by having these women watch our videos in sub-Saharan Africa can help them have a better birth experience or give birth to a healthier baby, and help, and on the hospice side, someone who is a caregiver or a loved one who is seeing, an aged, family member going through this, end of life transition, maybe helping them understand the death and dying process. And so the work became very meaningful to me because of the impact that we can have. And that is what ultimately, drives it. That's what gets me up, in the morning to come to work. And now with the funding, have the ability to expand our distribution. So the model, the flywheel, if you will, for the revenue growth for the company is based on three things. It's based on the content. So we're going to continue to develop the content. And we've created this educational content, but on Foodie, you can also watch educational movies or entertainment movies. Mm-hmm. So we've coined this new category we call edutainment. So people come into the platform often to watch a movie, but when they arrive to watch the movie, we call that kind of the hook. The anchor then is all this educational content that they've never seen anywhere before. So we've been able to kind of 2x the experience that someone has to come to the platform. They come to watch a Christmas movie, a food show, whatever, or watch a video about how to build a balanced scorecard for your strategic plan. They can watch a movie, they access through watching a movie, but then they stay and they continue to click their remote and watch additional videos. And every time we do that, and right now that platform is available online, but also on Roku television. And that part of our expansion plan is to add the other major television platforms. So Samsung, Apple TV, Amazon Fire TV, Android TV. We're working with international telecom companies to have our content be distributed through their telecom distribution platforms in other parts of the world. And the way that we monetize that is through the advertisers. Because of our educational content, which is highly unique, we have advertisers that we can command, better advertising rates because of the nature of our differentiated content. So the funding will help us add more entertainment movies, drawing that audience. We have a very healthy pipeline of new courses, people who are working with us to develop their courseware. And of course, those who have created a course with us, if they create a 4-hour online course, that's 16 videos. And we create channels for them, their own channel on television. So it's quite remarkable when someone has their own television channel of all their videos of their courses, and they have, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people who are watching those videos. And so those subject matter experts who own the intellectual property of that content, they now can participate not only in the revenue stream from people who purchase their courses, but they also have another revenue stream coming through the online advertisers people who are watching their videos on Foodie TV. So it becomes a very, it's an opportunity for people who are experts in business, health, wellness, life skills, soft skills, whatever their area of expertise is, we can monetize it for them. But we can have, again, the thing that, like I said, that really moves me forward is the impact, knowing that people will benefit all over the world from all of this incredible education.
Let's focus back on the company, the business behind all of that, right?
Yep.
So You're using the investment money to create more coursework and to distribute it broader.
Yes.
What does that mean in terms of roles or functions that you would want to add to your team to make that happen?
Interesting, in talking with the investors, we have kind of mapped out what our plan is as far as we need to really kind of build our bench, a stronger bench for our leadership. And so we are, actually, I just posted an opportunity for a chief operating officer today. We are looking to bring on, probably a fractional CFO initially. The plan, I think, for year two, post funding, will be a full-time CFO. So we're building our executive leadership team initially. We're bringing on a CTO, someone who is well skilled in agentic AI, because again, that is kind of the, one of the reasons why we will have the ability to drive, not only the revenue growth, but increase the profitability by leveraging this kind of technology and speed to market. So the plan is to literally build the executive team to stabilize the financial architecture of the company, and literally start building out the rest of those functional areas. So a marketing team, and we'll have to have people who are product management, product development resources, who are working with those subject matter experts on taking, in many cases, people will just hand us their digital manuscript of their book, and we'll say, take it and create our course. Let us know when it's done, so that we work with people to wherever they are in their process, however they want to work with us. We need to make sure that we have the bench strength and the resources. So we, are looking at our, the building of our team, making sure that we've got our, our operating plan and our, our financials in order. And of course, the governance that comes with that, so we're talking to the investors about, board seats and things like that, so that we have that kind of, executive leadership helping us manage our growth. The opportunity is significant. And so from someone who, built a company and bootstrapped it over the last, 10, 11 years, the company is going to look a lot different in a couple of years. I'll just say that. And we need to make sure that we have, that we're funding the right access, bringing on the right resources, and building out our governance structure, and holding ourselves accountable.
For a bootstrap founder about to raise for the first time, what's a piece of advice that you would give?
Wow, that is a great question. I would say, do your homework. It's interesting for me. Someone who, got a phone call one day and then got another phone call. It was something in the back of my mind. I was not, well versed in capital, raising capital. I'd never talked to an investor. I'd never talked to a venture capitalist or an angel investor. It's a whole new learning opportunity. So I started educating myself so that I would, so that the conversations I was having with these investors was fruitful and was credible, and where I was making sure I was asking the appropriate questions. I think the most important thing here was seek out advisors early on. Find your people who are experienced in raising capital. I was not. So one of the first things I did was start to seek out those who had experience. And actually, I did something that, again, being a marketer and being, a social media person, I actually went as part of my LinkedIn groups that I belong to. I belong to a lot of technical groups. I have a technical company. And so I post regularly about things we're doing with AI. So I have people that pay attention to my posts. So I reached out into the LinkedIn groups and said, I'm looking for someone who I can talk to who has experience in raising capital. If you're open to having just a conversation with me, I would greatly appreciate it, and because I'm trying to educate myself, truly. And I had a lot of people come, reach back to me and say, happy to have a conversation with you. Sounds like what you're doing is exciting. And so I did that. I reached out to people. I leveraged my own network on LinkedIn, and then found people who had a whole lot more experience than I did, people who had actually raised. I had angel investors reach out to me, people in the EdTech space, because I said, exactly, this is a space I'm in. This is what I'm doing. I'm in digital media, EdTech, agentic AI. I had people come out, and they were willing to have a conversation with me. And from there, they started introducing me to other people. I got introduced to other investors. So I had the investment bank and the private equity people who came to me directly. But by reaching out to people and asking for help, I actually asked for help. And then I had people that came to me and helped kind of bring me up the learning curve so I could make sure that I was, really smart about doing this because it's a whole new world that I was unfamiliar with.
Deb, thank you. A great inside look at reinventing a consulting firm and turning it into a global edtech and streaming business, and now taking the next step to go from bootstrap to a seed round and a funding round. How should listeners who want to learn more about you and the business, how should they contact you?
Oh, thanks for that, Henning. They can find me on LinkedIn, Deb Dietz, and I'm an open LinkedIn networker, so I have an open door policy. And because I want to meet people who are experts, and we have we have a platform that could be useful to them. And again, because I'm always on a quest for knowledge myself, I am an educator, and so if we could be of help to anybody, helping them, give them a voice and helping them have a greater impact. That is what I'm here for. So connect with me on LinkedIn. Happy to have a conversation.
Thanks again for being on the VE-Cast, a Vendux podcast.
Wonderful. Thanks, Henning. I appreciate it.